No. Okay.
Hello, and welcome to Tarkin's Top Shelf, the only Star Wars literature podcast on the internet, hosted by myself and Becca Benjamin. I'm Mark Suter, by the way. We dissect and analyze your favorite and maybe least favorite canon books, and we always keep it positive, or at least we try. Becca, how are you?
I'm doing great. I'm enjoying ForceFest. I want to thank everyone for joining us today. And, you know, this is in lieu of Star Wars Celebration. This is as close as we're going to get to it right now. So I'm enjoying it. A lot of energy, a lot of positive energy. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Today is my son's 7th birthday.
Happy birthday.
And that's a number that just seems, I don't know, it seems more grown up. Like he's out of a stage and he's into another one. So yeah, that's crazy. It's been a pretty good day, and you know, I'm glad that this ForceFest thing is happening. Now I probably wouldn't have been able to make it out to Celebration anyway, just because, you know, this is the week that school starts and it would have been kind of crazy. So I'm glad they're doing this, and I'm really grateful that we have the opportunity to be a part of it for sure.
Yes. That said, huge shout out to Sarah and Richard at Skywalking Through Neverland. Everyone involved with ForceFest, obviously get vocal. And of course, in the chat, our awesome moderator, Peter, he put out there the little link to donate to Make-A-Wish. So please, every little bit helps. So if you can do that, that'd be great. Thank you very much.
Make-A-Wish. It'll send you to Disneyland or wherever you want to go. I went to Disney World when I was 6, thanks to Make-A-Wish. So It's a great charity, and they do really good work, and they provide really great long-lasting memories, either for kids that survive, like myself, or for the families that unfortunately have children pass. So definitely donate there. Very important work. And, you know, just providing somebody a temporary escape. And I can't say enough good about it. So I think I'll stop there.
No, I think without that, I'm very thankful because you're here and you're my co-host on this podcast. So that's awesome. So without that, we might not be doing this at all today. So that's awesome to know. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And yes, Devin, Star Wars kids are saving the galaxy at 7. So she has a point there.
That is true.
7 is a big thing. I wanted to make sure I added that in there. So we are here to discuss our panel for ForceFest, which is character crossovers. Our headliner is Vi Moradi from Storybook to Theme Park. And basically, this is about character evolution. And this is something that's near and dear to you and I, because as a literature podcast for Star Wars, we talk about the books mainly.
Yes.
But you need to know a little bit more than just the movies to actually get the whole perspective on what's going on in Star Wars. So that's why we do the books, right? So it's always nice for us, talking about Star Wars literature, to see those characters evolve, to go from the pages to something on screen, or in Vi's case, walking around and interacting with Star Wars fans at Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah. And for those of you who might be unfamiliar with us, basically what we do is we do really deep dives. We get the books reviewed, and we just go into details and say, hey, remember this from that book and this from that comic. And we just try to bring it all together. And then sometimes we hypothesize about where things might end up heading. And so, you know, having a character that started in a book and now is walking around. And also, I want to shout out to Brian Young from Full of Sith. He says that he has talked to Vi Moradi about the events in the book Black Spire, and the character, you know, she knows the story.
She knows stuff.
Yeah, because it's her history, basically. So it's really interesting to have something that started in a book that is carrying over into, well, not live action, but like basically real life. So if you really want to go to the park and role play, get into your own character and interact with these Star Wars characters, you can do so.
Yeah, and here's the thing. I mean, we were introduced to Vi in the Phasma novel. Okay. So the whole story of Phasma and all that is being almost like told to her from Cardinal. And we learn throughout that novel a little bit about Vi. And I really never thought we would actually see her after this. I wanted to, but I didn't think we would get any more. And we learned things about the knitting, hence the blanket in the background. She has a talent for knitting, and it's one of her hobbies. I mean, again, real world connections, which just like it was great to have that, and to see a character like her, and then to find out later on that she is Leia's like most trusted spy. Like she looks at, like, the first person that's going to come to mind for something like for like a spy job is going to be Vi or Starling, or however many names that she has, which I do have them all down here, so she's known, her code names are Starling. She also goes by Amaka Koto, if I'm saying that right, Yvette Harlow, or Magpie. So she's got a lot out there, and she knows them all. From what I've talked to for people that have been to Galaxy's Edge, she'll answer to them. She knows those names. So it's just cool. I would have never expected such an evolution. And again, I just want to ask you, and franchises out there, because I know you're big into science fiction, Star Trek, all of it. How many characters do we know of that came from a storybook, never went to the films, but are walking around a theme park?
I could probably name them on one hand. None. I mean, it is unheard of. And I think that because of the kind of franchise that Star Wars is, especially after Disney purchased Lucasfilm, they are in a position where they can do these sort of cross-media things where you can introduce a character anywhere and pull them from this source, put them over here. And we've seen comics to books, and we've seen live action to cartoon. Not so much the other way yet, but that's a yet. Hopefully we'll see some Clone Wars or Rebels characters in The Mandalorian, or the Cassian series, or Kenobi. I'm holding out hope for like tons and tons. I could go on for 8 years. Anyway, there aren't really that many franchises that have this ability to say, okay, well, we're developing this character for the park, and we think that this character that was in this novel would be good. So let's pull that in and put them as a real person in there. And now we have a person walking around as a Star Wars character in a park who wasn't in a film first. Because if you think about the parade that you could go to at Hollywood Studios, it was always, Phasma and Rey and the Stormtroopers and Chewbacca. So basically you're going to see people that were in the film. And occasionally maybe you might see an animated character, but rarely. And so, like you said, I'm into Star Trek. They have had live, like in-person places, like in Las Vegas, they had the Star Trek Experience for a while. But basically they were making up characters just for that, or it was characters from the shows or movies that they would have as part of it. But it wasn't coming from another source like a book and being brought in. Right. And I think that's where Star Wars is a strong franchise for this.
I agree. Mike in the chat says he thinks the Imagineers have said that Vi was created for Star Wars Galaxy Edge and then planted into the novels leading up to it. Now that's interesting, because Phasma came out was it right after The Force Awakens? Or coinciding with it?
It was right around The Last Jedi, I think. I was like right in between. And actually, that timeline would make sense because that park has been being worked on for a long time. And certainly we knew that there was a park coming by the time that first book was written. And so that could very well be,
Awesome. And Sharon is saying she is working on her Vi costume as we speak. That is fantastic. Definitely when you finish that, tweet the photo of that at Tarkin's Top Shelf on Twitter. I would be happy to promote it, because we are both huge advocates for Vi. We love her. Just like I said, knowing that a literature character has popped out of the pages and is walking around, I go nuts over that, because for stuff that we do, like we said at the top of the show, it's just, I feel like it's almost our win too, in a way. You know what I mean? It's like, this is great. This is a character that
for literature nerds.
Exactly. So, I mean, it's just so exciting to see. And also, my soon to be 23-year-old was going nuts on Thursday. She was texting me, and she's the one who let me know that Galaxy's Edge is making its way to Sims. Um,
Yeah, I
so,
saw that.
you know, and Vi is in that, obviously. So this is another medium that she'll be in, not just books, but, and obviously live action, like literally she's live action at a theme park, which is like huge. And that's probably the best compliment any literature character can ever get, right? But now she's in Sims, and so many people play Sims. Like my daughter has been playing Sims probably since she was like 15 or 16 or something like that. So, and her text, sorry guys, this is probably going to be like strange for some people, but it was all in bold caps, and it says, Mom, I'm going to marry Kylo Ren and I'm going to have Sith babies. I'm like, what are you talking about? Because for those that don't play Sims, that's called woohooing. Because Sims have their own language. So,
Yeah.
but anyway, they don't speak English. They have their own little language going on. So, yeah. And this is my going to be 23-year-old. So excited to hook up with Kylo Ren and have Sith babies on Sims.
But who among us would not be, right?
I'm like, really? But it just made me laugh. But it was so great to see her, Vi, evolve into something else. Just when I think that character couldn't get any higher, you know, now she just needs her own show. You know, am I wrong?
You are not wrong. I mean, there are so many places that a character like that could work. And even Star Wars Resistance could have been a great place to drop her in. I do feel like that show was cut short because when the evolution of episode 9 sort of fell apart and switched directors, and, you know, they had to kind of restart production over with J.J. Abrams, I feel like plans for that show kind of got, you know, shut down because there were some interesting hints of things to come. And the show, they had to end it if they had to end it at any point early, it was a good place to end it for the characters in the show, but they never really got the chance to let their wings spread, kind of like the Rebels characters. Like they started small and then they got big. So yeah, there is definitely potential for her being in an animated series or live action series. Hey, they could film a show set on Batuu in the park. Why not?
Oh yeah. Why not? Well, Sharon in the chat just said that there's a new Galaxy of Adventure short featuring Vi. So for the YouTube Kids channel, that's awesome. So like I said, she's showing up in all these places. Like I said, if you have her walking around a theme park, which still, I don't mean to keep opening this up, but think about it. Like you said, in order for people to really know her backstory, they have to read about her.
Yeah.
So all these people that are interacting with her have to have read. And I mean, I think that's something to be said, because I always would encourage reading, even in this day and age, because we can just click on a video and someone can talk to us and tell us. Like I've been told, even from Devin, my co-host from Canas Castle, she's like, well, you guys are kind of like Cliff Notes. Like I decide after I listen to you whether or not I want to read it.
Yeah.
Well, okay, sure. That works for me too.
There are a lot of people that spoilers don't ruin it for them. And there's actually research on it. Some people enjoy things more if they know what is going to happen. You know, so they weren't disappointed when Qui-Gon's noble end was right on that soundtrack for the Phantom Menace, right? Well, I guess he's going to die, isn't he? So, yeah, I mean, that is something that we do. It's like when the book is out, we say, you know, right at the top, we're like, do we like it? Do we recommend it? And then we go right into spoilers. You know, there are some shows that I've listened to that have done Star Wars books that they'll wait 3 months or 6 months or even a year sometimes to talk about the details of a book. So they'll do a review and then they'll talk about something that's like a year old. But I feel like striking while the iron is hot is our approach. And like you said, there are listeners of ours that are like, yeah, I listened to your show and then I decide, well, do I want to read it or not?
Do I want to read it? Right.
And yeah, so I mean, if you want to go to Galaxy's Edge and understand what's going on with this Vi character, you know, yeah, Black Spire, and there's even more in the Phasma novel. And I think that Phasma is one of the greatest characters that has barely any screen time. So, you know, dig into that one as well to get all of the backstory.
Absolutely. There's a lot on Vi. I mean, just knowing about her and then what she's even capable of and what she's willing to actually do for the resistance is phenomenal. I mean, I'm just going to throw it out there. Sorry if you haven't read the book, and I don't mean to spoil, but the book's been out for like a year now. So, of Black Spire. But for someone who works for a retina surgeon, okay, I see people get injections in their eyes in order to keep their vision. I'm not a fan of being in the room when that's happening. So that segment with Vi, with the eye torture, I mean, I was like, oh, wow. I mean, because it really was like reality. And I actually let the doctor that I work for read that section. And he was like, this author's right on point with everything that had to go on with that actual kind of torture. So there you go. And yes, Red 5 Mom, she is a female Indiana Jones. Absolutely. And she's like in her 40s. Okay. And she's like moving around like that. I'd like cramp. Give me 5 minutes. There's no way I'd be able to do what that woman does. So yeah, she's just spectacular. So I don't know if you want to add more with Vi, or if you want to talk more character crossovers.
Yeah, well, there's a
go
scene.
Into other ones that we have.
I would just like to go on the eye torture thing. One of my favorite Star Trek movies, First Contact, has a scene where there's like a needle going in towards an eye, and then like it actually touches it, and you see like the cornea depressed, and it's just like, ah! So yeah, it's very graphic. I hope that was
like a fish hook.
Yeah, I know
that they're using.
Yeah, that's lovely. That's something that you always want to think about. But yeah, I mean, so obviously Vi Moradi is a character that jumped from the books to the parks. But we would also like to talk about some characters that have some potential to make it the other direction, maybe from shows or movies, but also from books. I mean, okay, so the first one is a bit of a cheat in that regard. But Grand Admiral Thrawn. He has a history with Batu. In Thrawn Alliances, he meets Anakin Skywalker over the planet, and they go on an adventure together. And it's about, 40 some years before the events of what's happening if you go to Disney World.
Yeah, at least. At least.
Because it's still during the height of the Clone Wars. And it's a really excellent story, and it's the kind of thing that, yes, he has been in Rebels, so I'll grant you that he has already made an appearance in other media, but he did start out as a book character.
But stop there, though. Right, and he crossed over from Legends to canon.
Yes.
That is a character crossover. That is something that you don't see happen very often. These Legends characters come into mediums that are on screen. And again, back in books, because that's where he started. Yeah. But he was classified Legends for quite some time. And then to see.
And I would say that those books still hold up pretty well. And Timothy Zahn himself has said, basically, if you read that book, maybe the events aren't canon, but the way that I view the character, it could be, if you lined up the events of the books that I'm writing now to those events, and they're definitely still worth reading. I mean, we're talking about the trilogy that launched a whole new era of Star Wars fandom. Because basically there were some dark times in the 7 or 8 years after Return of the Jedi. You had a couple cartoons, you had the Ewok adventure movies, which are painful to watch as an adult. I'm sorry. I mean, they're still somewhat charming.
Don't tell that to Steele Saunders. He'll be very upset with you.
I love Wicket. I love Wicket. He's so good. But anyway, this is a trilogy of books that kind of sparked a whole new era before we had the special editions, before we knew the prequels were even coming. So they're definitely still worth reading. But yes, the rare character that actually is wholesale pulled from Legends into canon. And now we are on Tuesday, just a little preview. On Tuesday, Thrawn Ascendancy, Chaos Rising, the first book in a new trilogy that's a prequel trilogy set, I would say, during the Clone Wars and probably in the period directly after, once we get through this. So there's more coming. And I will just say, I think that it may be his best Thrawn book yet, at least for me. So that's all I'll say about that for right now. If you want to know more,
I'm going to cut you off.
If you want to know more, we are going to be reviewing it after it is out. So sometime after Tuesday, we will have a review for you to listen to. So if you like Thrawn,
that means I have to read.
Yeah. Well, it's a pretty good read though. So anyway,
no, it is. I know.
There's a lot of potential that they could say, all right, so this special weekend, or maybe they'll do like the Star Wars weekends, a summer event or a fall event or whatever. They'll say on certain days, they'll refresh the events that are happening in the park. And, Grand Admiral Thrawn is here. And we're going to see some of the events that happened with Anakin or something. And then, that means Anakin could be there too.
I don't know if they'll do all that, but that's definitely something that they should think about. I mean, I'd like to see, I know before we went on air, Devin, Red My Mom was saying, put Chris Pine in as Thrawn. I mean, if you could pick someone like that to walk around as a blue glowing man with some red eyes. Yeah. I mean, I'm a Twilight fan. So if I had a thing for a shimmering vampire, I guess I would go for a good looking Thrawn.
Especially if he was played by Chris Pine, right?
Yeah, no, I'm all good with that. I've got no complaints. But Thrawn has made his crossover. We know he's now canon again. So twice now. So we'll see what they do with them. But there is an actual character before. He wasn't in a book yet, but he started in the Clone Wars and made his way into live action in Rogue One, a Star Wars story, and that is Saw Gerrera. Right. Well, that is definitely someone I needed to bring up.
There was a tie-in book with him, though. It was Catalyst, right?
He was in there, yes. But I mean, he first started
in Rebel Rising.
Rebel Rising, as he raised Jin.
Yeah,
Yes, he was in. If you want to call that raising,
but yes, he was not a good father figure. No, not at all.
No, he didn't know how to do that. But he started his way in animation, and I adore his character, and seeing where he ended up and the evolution of that character too, as well, is amazing. We see him young, in the Clone Wars. We see that he is taught, a guerrilla type fighting from Anakin Skywalker, Ahsoka Tano, Obi-Wan Kenobi. Okay, so really he's trained from like the best, exactly. Right? The best that the Jedi ever had to offer. And he's carried that over how many years later? And we know that Mon Mothma's not too thrilled with how he handles situations. So we learn all this too. But we do know prior to Jin, even in Catalyst, he meets Lyra Urso, and they become, I don't know if you want to say friends or confidants, but he's the one that actually ushers them away to a safe haven, which is where we see them in the beginning of Rogue One. He makes sure that they escape, but it's because of that connection between him and Lyra that Jin and Galen end up where they end up in Rogue One, meaning that they're safe. To some degree, Galen's safe. I mean, he's alive.
Yeah. What?
But and to some degree, Jin is safe too.
And that opens up a whole other possibility because we don't know, did they make any stops while they were on the run trying to find a planet to settle on? Saw and Galen and Jin and Lyra could make an appearance. And the thing about Disney World is, I should have said this sooner, it is a park that is made to change. And so
absolutely.
The vision that Walt Disney had when he started the park was none of this is permanent. As we get new technologies, better rides, and all that sort of thing, better experiences, then we're gonna change things. And so we're talking about a park that has been constantly changing. So for the time being, they're planning on keeping Galaxy's Edge as it is. But, even the rides that have been there a long time have had changes, except for maybe Small World After All. They've got some screens in there now that will display the names of the Magic Pass holders as they go through. But, it's the same ride. But that's a classic. Like that's closely tied to Disney. Right. But there are so many things that change. Galaxy's Edge, I don't think it's always going to be set in this time period between 8 and 9.
They say it's gonna be.
They say it's gonna be now,
as of right now, but it's so new.
But in 20 years,
they didn't even really...
you've got a great park and it's a great location. If they decide, okay, well, we need to do something We need to, it's like Jurassic World. We need to make our own dinosaurs to get more people in this
Right.
park. At some point, they're probably going to reevaluate that. So,
Yeah.
you know, we're not talking in the next 2 years or something, but these are characters that could possibly make an appearance in that way. And also, you could have special events where it's like, okay, yeah, we this weekend we're going to have a special appearance by Saw, or we're going to have a special appearance by Thrawn.
Right.
So,
which would be awesome. And I'm going to jump around here, but because she's so new and fresh in our minds, I want to talk about Dr. Aphra. I mean, she starts off in just comics alone, right? And this is a world I didn't even delve into, right? But now she's in her own audio drama. Basically, she's doing the Lando Chronicles, but for Dr. Aphra, they're her own chronicles. She's like, you know, a Star Wars podcaster.
yeah.
She's podcasting about herself, which that's the first thing that I thought of, you know, and I love the fact that we get this character that has went just from comics to now stepping into not just a book, but a full-fledged audio drama. I mean, the only thing missing is the picture, correct? I mean, you hear it, you can actually see it going through your mind, which I think is a great thing, again, which is why I encourage reading. It allows you to create a world that only you can see. Mm-hmm. And to me, that's the power of imagination. That's what Disney uses. And I think it's phenomenal. To me, this is a character so unique in Star Wars in itself. Like, we had the opportunity to speak to Sarah Kuhn, and the fact that Aphra is so real world in the fact where she acts like one of us. She's snarky. She kind of says what comes to her mind, you know, Boba Man, whatever, you know, that's how she talks. Vader, sir, you know, I mean, it's kind of funny because it's like you're sticking a Star Wars fan in Star Wars and they're just talking the way we would. And she's crazy, you know, she's chaos in this little package, right? So, again, I would love to just hang out with this person. You know, she's so different in Star Wars, and I can see them doing something with her. I would actually love to see her show up at Galaxy's Edge. I don't know how old that would make her. And I'd love to see her and Sana show up there too as well.
Yeah.
There's just something to be said about those characters. Because I guess you can say too that Sana starts off in comics and now we got her even in the audio drama. So both characters, in a sense, have crossed over in that way.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's good to see. It's good to see because, you know, what else is going to happen? You know, could we get them in live action, you know, Disney shows? Well, yeah, on Disney Plus. You know, I don't mean like Disney Channel, but Disney Plus.
Well, that's a character that could easily be plugged in there. And like I said, if they decided at special times of year or every once in a while to do an event that happens during, you know, the original trilogy, you know, you could plug in characters like that. And especially since a lot of the main people like Doc Ondar, for instance, the relic dealer, like these are people that have been here a long time. And so having them be there when some of these original trilogy characters would be there wouldn't be out of place. So it's not like much would have to be changed to do it. But, you know, with Vi, you know, you can follow her around and go on an adventure with the Resistance. But if you had a character like Aphra, you know, it's like a scavenger hunt. You know, she's trying to find something or steal something, and maybe you're trying either to help her or to thwart her. You know, those are the kinds of things that could make it very engaging for people who, you know, come from more the literary background or the comics background and say, hey, like this character started out in a book, or this character started out in a comic, and now here they are walking around.
Well, and that's just it. And I think those two characters, Vi and Aphra, are very smart characters for that because both are very colorful characters. They have such a unique personality to the galaxy far, far away. They're not your typical, you know, serious, you know, by the book character. You know what I mean? They're kind of edgy and they have this real worldly and the way they talk and the way they handle things. And I think that's what makes it that much more relatable and makes it easier for the fan base to want to connect. And like you said, I mean, in a way, you can watch a movie on a character that has never been in a book, be like, okay, yeah, I know everything that they do. But do you know what they're thinking? Do you know what they would really say?
No.
if this happened to them. Books and that give you that inner dialogue, so you know what's making them tick. And I love character books for that reason. That's why, like I said, when you go to Galaxy's Edge, which I was supposed to go on the 27th.
Oh, sadness.
Sad. Couldn't go. I know, I'm really disappointed.
Major sadness.
I still
Bummer.
have a ticket. But I was so looking forward to be able to tell her, Vi, that, you know, my mom knitted me this Star Wars blanket, and, you know, I'd love to show it to her. And, you know, because I've heard that she'll talk to you about knitting, like just something so little like that. And she, you know, she'll go on about it. So again, like I said, there's just something so unique about that just makes you want to interact. And yeah, like I said, I mean, they deserve even more, I think, than what they already have going for these characters. Another one that we've talked about for a while, you and I, that deserves more than what she's getting. And now we know she is going to be in the video game, Star Wars Squadrons. I know you're all excited. Is Admiral Ray Sloan. Hail Empire with her, man. Like, this is one character.
I'm going to say it. Like, she has deserved way more than she's gotten, especially, okay, so she started out as a book character in the Aftermath trilogy, and it's like this character, and she's in the New Dawn, and
that was
then
the first
she
book
also she was I was incorrect. That was the first book in the new canon. Aftermath happened so soon after that it's hard to separate all those things. So anyway, she started as a book character. She was in the comic with Kanan as he was escaping Order 66, and now, okay, finally she's going to be in a video game. I wish that she had been in a Star Wars film, though. You know, she's the kind of character that she would still be around with the First Order, perhaps even the Final Order. And I think it's just about time that she's been given more to do, because she's a great character and criminally underused. And again, like, she was in sort of the prequel era, you know, after the Republic fell. She's there in the story. And she was in the original trilogy era with the Aftermath books. And, you know, there's nothing stopping them from putting her in a book set during the sequels as well. So yes, this is a character that absolutely deserves more respect. And if you can get her anywhere in the park, I mean, another character crossing from the books to the park would be amazing. And again, a character that totally makes sense.
Well, that's just it. Like, it makes sense, because now I hope no one gets mad at me, but I often wonder, especially now that the saga's over, what it would have been, or what it would have meant to people had they replaced Pride with Admiral Sloan in The Rise of Skywalker. Because there's no indication that she is not alive at this point. She should have been on one of those Sith Star Destroyers. She should have been. She deserves that. So to me, it would make sense to see her walking around Galaxy's Edge, because there's no reason why she wouldn't be looking for people that are trying to build the resistance and trying to stop it.
Or
so
unless
there's a spot
she ended up joining the resistance. I mean, she's the kind of character that I could see her going that way eventually. Not in the time that we know her from. Yeah. But she wasn't just out for herself. So I think
she wanted a peaceful rule amongst the galaxy. She really did. She saw, again, like George Lucas often has said about Anakin Skywalker, and just about, you know, evil in general, that people aren't born evil. They don't see themselves as being bad. They have justification for what they're doing. She didn't see the Empire as all good either, but she didn't see it as all corrupt either. So, you know, she has that, like you said, she could kind of go either way. She's like kind of on the cusp, depending on, I guess, what their plan is to unite the galaxy. I mean, she thought the Empire was going to do that. So, but again, there's no indication that Ray Sloan is
I mean,
dead.
There's
so she could still be around.
There are so many characters that I could name from books that it's like, they didn't die, so why aren't they continuing? You know, I mean, the Aftermath books, even if you didn't like the writing style, which I can understand, it wasn't everybody's cup of tea, the characters that he made and built throughout that trilogy are some of the strongest characters. Yeah,
so diverse,
so much diversity, and just some really interesting characters as well. Yeah. And again, I could go on all day about that. And then there was another one you had on here, I think. Let's see. Well, no, nobody.
I did. Oh, yes. Who are we missing?
I'm just kidding.
Oh, he's playing. The Ahsoka Tano. Yeah. Okay. Like, who really thought after the Clone Wars we were going to see her in Rebels? I mean, come on. Who really thought that? There was no indication. She came out with a novel, right? The Ahsoka novel, just Ahsoka. That was his title. And I'm sorry, I'm one of the fans out there. Love the novel. So we got that, and Dave Filoni had his hand in that, you know. So he worked closely with EK on that one, and I really thought that was going to be it. And then she comes out in Rebels, and I know there's a lot of rumors going around out there in the rumor mill about things about the Mandalorian, but we're not going to go there. That being said, we get a character that has evolved so much. There's so much richness about this character and who she is and what she stands for. And I really do, because you guys were talking on Idiot's Array, and it really sparked something for me in regards to Rey and the way she's dressed and how she reacts to things. And we get her saying, "I am all the Jedi." And I really kept thinking, when I heard that again out of you guys, I'm like, yeah, and we get Ahsoka telling Vader, "I'm no Jedi." It's interesting because when I hear her say that now, and I go back after everything that we know now, I think she means it as, I'm no Jedi as they were.
Yeah.
She is refined Jedi sight, which comes from, in the beginning of the Force Awakens novel, there's like something you would find like in the Bible. Yeah. It's like a psalm, if you want to look at it like that. And it talks about, you know, first comes the light and then comes the night, all this stuff, and refined Jedi sight. And that's how I look at Ahsoka. She was basically the beginning of where the future needed to go. She knew that not just herself had to grow, but the Jedi and what they believed in had to evolve. It had to change. Just like anything else. If you don't change, what happens? You know, you can't move on. I think Shmi Skywalker said it best with, you can't stop the sun from setting. It has to keep moving forward. And that's something with Ahsoka. I think she's more than earned, and I hate even using the term earned, her right to become live action. I think she has that. I think she has enough following. We've seen her now in 2 animated series, a novel of her own. I mean, it's called Ahsoka.
And,
it's,
you know, there's rumors,
you know
which I am taking with a huge grain of salt, that she'll be in The Mandalorian. But, yeah, I think this is a character that enough people care about, that if she showed up in the park, people would flock there just to meet her.
Oh, yeah.
She could be Fulcrum.
Are you kidding me? I mean, granted, Fulcrum. See, and that's a huge thing. I mean, I would love to see, I mean, I'm not saying it would be easy to do that entire getup. Okay. One thing that the person would have to sound as much as they could, like Ahsoka, especially if they're going to interact. So again, you'd really have to listen and really have to be a very talented voice actress, correct? Unless they were going to put Ashley in the getup, which we do know back in the beginning, she's done it. And she did she pulled it off. She looked great, you know. I'm not saying if it was going to be live action series, if they would really pull Ashley in. I know she's an actress. She's done acting. She's done TV shows. I mean, she's done Raven. My daughter loved that back in the day. That was a Disney Channel show. So she was on that. So she can do actual acting. We know she mostly does voice acting. But, I mean, she's definitely more than earned that, I guess, that status. I think it definitely, if they're worried about profiting, Disney and Lucasfilm, I mean, they have enough money, right? But I mean, if they're looking at profiting, I think it would definitely be in their best interest to invest in that character, to do something like The Mandalorian, like Kenobi. I mean, she could show up in Kenobi.
Why not?
Like, why couldn't she show up Kenobi. Like, I think she's a better fit for that, personally, than she is for the Mandalorian.
Yeah,
That's just
my only thought
opinion.
is eventually they're going to start running into other Force users. At least I hope. In the Mandalorian. Yeah.
They're out there.
But again, before we were recording,
I mean,
I almost started talking, about the Mandalorian as it relates to Galaxy's Edge. I mean, just look at how different Tatooine was 5 years later, but same location, So Galaxy's Edge is
right.
A setting that could be done up in different ways without changing a lot. Actually, the biggest change you'd have to make is what the cast members are wearing. Not even necessarily the people
right.
serving food
Sure.
that have their standard, Batuan uniforms. But I'm talking about just put the stormtroopers in the classic look or the Clone Wars look, so you have the same actors just wearing different armor and you've got a whole different era. So anyway,
right.
yeah. I think
at
work. This time, are we able to open it up if anybody has questions or anything?
And does anyone want to grab a spot and, talk about Vi or any character crossovers that they can think of that we may have missed? We'd be happy to, chat and see what we come up with. We'd love to do that. So anyone, if they want to grab a spot and just, join in, that'd be great. In the meantime, we can dive in a little more if you want. I mean, I'm sure there's characters that I may have missed that I didn't put on our list to discuss. Because like I said, we did go over Saw, we did go over Thrawn, Admiral Rey, Ahsoka, Dr. Aphra.
Well, some obvious ones too. Rey is on Batu, so at some point you could see Finn or Poe or, Leia even. These are all characters that are around in this period and they wouldn't have to change a thing. Just a little bit of the adventures that you're going on.
Right.
Chewbacca's around, right? Yeah.
Maz Kanata.
Hey, you know what? They what I didn't know at the time that I saw it was Maz in The Rise of Skywalker is entirely a puppet instead of a CG character. So hey, you've already got the puppet made.
Is. Right. And here's a character crossover that I didn't put in my notes. You're going to laugh at me. We get this awesome Weequay pirate in the Clone Wars, and he crosses over into Rebels, and now he's an animatronic at Galaxy's Edge.
Yes,
Hondo. And who doesn't love
actually, he was
Hondo?
like my number one character that I hoped carried over to Rebels. On my list were characters like Tarkin, and the only one that didn't make it was Cad Bane. And I saw that they are going to be releasing a Black Series of Cad Bane, which, oh man, he is the coolest bounty hunter. He is the coolest bounty hunter. I mean, the Mandalorian probably giving him a run for his money, but is he still a bounty hunter now? That's the question I need to have answered. Yeah, he may edge out Cad Bane as the coolest bounty hunter, but Cad Bane, he made Boba Fett look like a chump.
Hey,
hello,
Red
hello.
Five Mom!
I want to see the story. Can you hear me, guys? Oh, of Maz. You're talking about Maz, and Chewbacca is still around, and Maz has been around for 1,000 years. But where's that romance?
I really like that Wookiee, she says.
Some people are so creeped out right now. I'm just
Where's
telling
my
you.
boyfriend? She says it.
Right? Oh my gosh. Now that's a story. And I think that would be I think it'd be more on the comical side of things. Because I really don't think she means it that way.
I think it's meant to be ironic.
I just think she's very fond of him.
It spawned a lot of fan
fiction.
Yes.
What's the fondness? What happened between those two that created that fondness for Chewbacca?
Yeah.
Amber says you should see Maz on Chewie's shoulders in a firefight in one of the comics.
Yes. Yeah.
And
they're comrades in arms.
She has a jetpack, man.
Yeah, they're just giving each other a hard time.
Cool.
Comrades in arms. And Sharon said that Hondo is also a recorded live actor on the instructions videos. Yeah. Now I have seen a lot of the videos of the
Yes.
rides and stuff because I haven't gotten to experience it. I have been hoping to get there either this year or next. So we'll see when that happens. I try not to spoil myself too much on the park stuff, but yes, I have seen that, and
Right.
it's amazing to see Hondo there. So yeah.
Yeah, because the animatronics there, they almost look so lifelike.
know.
You know, oh my gosh,
I
it would be
really
just so
wanna
cool
see
to like
him,
see
yeah.
him.
Yeah, well,
Hondo.
there's the animatronic, and then also there's like a video, and it's an
Oh,
actor
yeah?
in makeup. Yeah.
Oh, really? Cool. I want to see it all.
And Sharon also said she wonders if Vi, Chewie, etc., will be in the new VR Tales from the Galaxy's Edge. I mean,
Mm.
I don't see why they
Ooh.
wouldn't.
I'm good with
I mean, they're making it.
I mean, the Falcon's there.
I haven't invested in
so
VR.
Chewie's there.
They're really making
You
it
need
hard
to deal
not
with
to with
Hondo.
all these Star Wars things that are coming out. There's a Star Trek game that looks pretty cool too, but I don't think we want to get into that on the
Squadrons? Are you talking Squadrons?
Always brings
Star Wars
that up.
Squadrons. Oh my goodness, yeah, that's going to be good too.
Yeah, Hera's in it.
I mean, Hera's
Yeah. And
there.
so
I'm
is
all about
Wedge.
that. Hera's there.
Wedge.
I'm
Yeah.
All the people.
And speaking of Hera, going back to the recorded live actors, Vanessa Marshall is actually your instructor, the manager of telling you
Yeah.
about the run
Yeah.
for Smuggler's Run ride. That is
I'm actually
her.
looking forward to going.
So the voice of
Yeah,
Hera.
I'm actually looking forward
it's
to
not
going
Hera.
to Galaxy's Edge just so I can pick out the voice actor, because I'm usually not terrible at it. There was one that threw me for a
That's
loop.
great.
There's
I'm sorry.
a Netflix series now called High Score that's a documentary series about video games, and the narrator, I'm like killing myself. Like,
Right.
who is this? Like, I know this voice. Who is this? Well, it turns out it's the guy who does Mario's voice, and he does like Luigi and all the Toads and all the characters.
Oh,
and it's
wow.
like, okay, I would have never guessed that because he doesn't sound anything like Mario,
No.
but he's just got that, like, a little bit of that vocal quality.
Oh,
Lieutenant Beck is voiced by James Arnold Taylor. Yeah.
Oh, is he? Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I hear Pablo Hidalgo
He's
is
great.
a radio DJ. If you listen to the broadcast in the park.
Oh, really?
Get out.
Yeah,
That's
so-
hilarious.
This is crossover.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, that's
Well,
cool.
That
That's
makes
cool.
sense. Well, it makes sense because his name, with the letters all jumbled around, ends up
Yeah.
in Black Spire anyway.
Yeah, there are so
Remember?
many
Pointed that out,
people that
so-
get shout outs. I forget who it is, but there's at least one person that has two different characters named after them in Star Wars literature now, because they were such a nice person to the authors.
That would be like an incredible honor. And Sharon saying Lieutenant Beck on Rise is voiced by James Arnold Taylor. Okay, cool. That's awesome. See, I love it. Like I said, I was saying earlier, and I know you read it, Mark, but get a chance if you can to listen to the audio version of Star Wars: The Clone Wars, the stories of the light and dark, because hearing them all read these stories,
Yeah, honestly,
it is incredible.
Some of the books that have come out, the audiobook is probably the preferable version. Like a lot of audiobooks that you get that are not Star Wars, it is just somebody reading.
The book.
And
yes.
Oh
my
Star
gosh.
Wars books,
Yes.
they go all out with sound effects and the
Music.
score. And, like,
Music.
for instance, the Afra is an audio drama only, so that's the only way you can get it. Eventually, I bet that they'll release it as kind of a script book, like the Dooku Lost. Yeah.
Dooku Jedi
But
Lost.
just hearing it that with that full Star Wars production behind it, with the voice acting, I mean, some of the people that read these books are incredible. And, with this Clone Wars books, the Clone Wars book that's coming out or is out. So they got the voice actors in there to reprise their roles and read the books, right?
Yeah.
So I mean that's I've got the audio credit through Audible, so hey, might as well.
Yeah. It's just it's like you're in it again, like you're watching the Clone Wars because you got those actors reading it to you. It's wonderful. I mean, again, I miss all of them. You know, we know Clone Wars again. We're going through it again. It's now over, you know. So it's like you kind of going through that like, oh, it's over, you know. But to be able to hear their voices again, at least it's something. That's how I see it. That's why I really hate thinking about, okay, the Skywalker saga is over. Like, it's over. We're never going to see those characters for a while, you know, or again, when it comes to the Skywalkers, like in general, that family, I don't think we're going to see much of that anymore going forward. Though I'd like to, but as of right now, I don't think that's something they want to go into. But we do have Kenobi to look forward to. So that, you know, he is centric to that. So what they'll do with that, who will see,
Anakin.
You know, I mean,
We are.
you know,
Your
I don't want to
Sky
go
Guy's
there,
gonna be in
but yeah,
that,
that would be
dude.
nice.
Yeah.
Sky Guy, yeah, you know,
They're
Skywalker Academy,
I'm-
folks. I want to go there.
I'm predicting it. Flashbacks. They're gonna do it.
Yeah, it will be. Yeah,
He looks
well,
good
I mean,
still,
really,
Hayden. He looks the same.
His age now, he doesn't look that much older than he did with the scar and the makeup. I mean, and you know, it's amazing what they can do with makeup technology. And if they decided to de-age him at all,
Right.
it would not take much.
No.
He's got
It's a fine line
some
here
good
and a
genes,
fine
that
line
Hayden
there.
Christensen. He's got some
Yeah.
very good genes. And
No,
we're probably at
yes.
about 8 minutes remaining
Carrie
here.
Fisher would
So
definitely say that.
if anybody
Oh,
else
jump out.
wants
Anybody
to,
Yes.
I will jump out.
Grab a spot.
give
grab a
us
spot,
ideas
come
for
in.
characters that you would like.
Thanks, Devin, for
otherwise,
joining
we're
us.
just going to devolve into tangential conversations about random stuff, which also can be very entertaining.
Right.
I should give a plug to the Merry Rise of Skywalker.
Absolutely.
The Shakespeare's version of the Rise of Skywalker. It is amazing. If you love Shakespeare, I mean, it's a no-brainer. Also, if you felt disappointed that Ben Solo didn't really say anything after he became Ben Solo, this is the book for you. So, oh man.
Then this is the book for you.
The poetic way that his inner dialogue is written, even his sassy little, when he faces off against the Knights of Ren, his little shrug there is given voice, you might say. And also Palpatine pontificating in iambic pentameter is just incredible. I didn't mean to alliterate there. It just worked out that way. But he, just for the Palpatine dialogue, that book is worth it. Because it's like, if there's any villain that should speak in the way that Shakespeare wrote,
Shakespearean? That's him. It was made for him.
I think we're going to be interviewing, on Idiot's Array, actually. This is random, but we're actually going to be talking to the author tomorrow. So that'll be out sometime next week. As long as nothing goes wrong with scheduling, because, you know, as soon as you speak it out there, people are like, I got to cancel. But that probably won't happen. But yeah, that's a good book. And also, let's see what else. As we mentioned, the new Thrawn book is coming out. I enjoyed it. We'll be talking about that soon.
Mm-hmm. That comes out Tuesday, which is the 1st?
Yes,
right?
That is correct. Sharon in the chat, very active in the chat.
September.
I appreciate that very much. She says they do dramatic readings of the Star Wars books at Dragon Con. And I've heard that. I have not ever been to Dragon Con, but I have heard that happens. And please, I mean, especially if they could get a cast of voice actors mixed with live action actors to reprise their roles for some of these things. No, but
that
I mean, could you imagine?
But that would be interesting.
Ian McDiarmid reading this in tights,
with
goofy sleeves,
in tights.
Yes.
Please, in tights, or it's no deal.
And there has to be a cod piece involved as well, because this is Shakespeare time.
Right.
Oh, and Red Cliff Mom probably just spit out her water.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. I'm sorry, but that's fantastic. Oh my gosh. But yeah, I mean, has anyone in the chat been to Galaxy's Edge. I gotta find out, and has spoken with Vi, because I would love to hear your story. This is now your time. So if you have done that, I want to know, because like I said, I'm feeling sad. I missed out on that on the 27th.
Oh, Richard and Sarah.
Anybody? Oh, you made a video.
Walking through
Richard
Neverland.
Sarah. Okay.
Skywalking through
I'm
Neverland.
going to need to watch
And
that.
actually, I think.
Yeah. Yes.
With
the ones we're thankful
Richard,
for right now.
I think it was Coffee with Kenobi. We both got invited on at the same time, and that was a really good conversation.
Awesome.
Okay. Mike says it's fun to watch Vi help Chewie evade the First Order with the help of all the kids. Yeah, kids love this stuff. I mean, just the videos of cute little kids.
Yes.
I mean, they make you cry. They make you happy.
Right.
Yeah. And Sharon said Vi was great. I showed her Rose's ring. Oh, yes. The ring of the Resistance.
Oh, no way. Oh, come on and tell us about that.
Yeah, we have a few minutes.
A spot.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome. Oh, my gosh. I would love to hear that. That is phenomenal.
Okay, and then Rich is always trying to talk out loud to Vi and out her as a spy, but also ask her advice on how to be a spy. Yeah, sounds about right.
Yeah. He has a lot of high tolerance for pain.
Oh, man.
Eye pain, especially.
There we go again.
I know, but I couldn't have done that. I'm sorry, but that was like the scene for me. It's like, okay, yeah. Oh, that's awesome. But all right, I guess if no one's gonna, hop on, I will go through our little outro.
We can do
then.
that.
You think I
let
got
them know
enough
where they
time
can
for that?
find us.
All right, cool. Absolutely. First of all, huge shout out to Skywalking Through Neverland, Sarah and Richard, who are in our chat, and everyone at ForceFest and Get Vocal for putting this all together and for, of course, having us. So thank you very much. We are part of the Pitiful Little Band Network. You can subscribe to us on YouTube. You can find us on Twitter and Facebook. So please do that. If you want to interact with us, talk to us, maybe question us about what we talk about, email us at ttspodfeedback@gmail.com. You can find us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Tarkin's Top Shelf. And of course, wherever you catch your pods, we are there. If for some reason you can't find us. The best place is on Twitter at Tarkin's Top Shelf, and we'll make sure that you do find us. But yeah, that's awesome. So yeah, please, speaking of that, at Tarkin's Top Shelf on Twitter, if you have a Vi video, a Vi story, picture of you with Vi, please send it to us. We will promote it. We want to know and see all your things about Vi. That'd be great. Thank you. Thanks for everyone for coming on and interacting with us.
And if you want to find me, which, wouldn't blame you if you didn't want to, I'm at Mark E. Studer on Twitter. And I usually try to post about things that I like, Star Wars, Star Trek, video games, whatever it is. So if you're interested in that, also, I do read occasionally books that are not Star Wars books, and I have thoughts about those as well. Mm-hmm. You can also hear me on the Idiot's Ray podcast roughly every other week. And it's just three guys that two of them are from Utah. I'm from Ohio, so it just makes sense, right? We talk about whatever. We usually don't even have show notes. We just come up with sort of a germ of an idea. And then our conversation goes off wildly in tangents and usually comes back around to something resembling coherent thought. And the way we usually sign off this show is we say, if you enjoyed our discussion on Vi Moradi and characters crossing over from storybook to theme park, tell that to Reading Club. And just as to fill in the last remaining time, thank you, Richard and Sarah, for putting this together. Thanks to Get Vocal. Thanks to everybody who tuned in here in the and contributed to the chat.
Absolutely,
we really appreciated it. It made this show better by having your comments here. And thank you just for all the interaction that we had. And I guess, if that's it, may the Force be with you.
May the Force be with you. Awesome.
Stare awkwardly at camera.
Okay, 1 minute. I know. Well, we're still on, so that's okay. I mean, when you get this back, you don't have to play all this. But real quick, fun fact from Red